Hey, this is Nicholas with the Backyard TARDIS here with another Top 10. Continuing on with our Top 10 Stargate episodes, we are doing it season by season, so I'm going to be looking at Stargate SG1 Season 2 and pick out my top 10 of those episodes. And as always, as I'm doing this, I want to raise awareness that we want to let Amazon know that we want more Brad Wright directed and run Stargate. So in the Brad Wright universe, please get those individuals back involved as we see that coming up. So this is, once again, just kind of talking about these episodes, why we love them, and really just going season by season. Originally, I planned to do just like a top 10 Stargate, and then I realized that was just way too much for me, so then I was going to split it down to just every 5 seasons and kind of do the first half and second half. And I did season 1 and had 11 that I thought were contenders for that top 10 list. So then I realized I needed to go season by season, whittle it down, and then we'll do the first 5 seasons together and do a list for that, and so on, and then do Atlantis and all of it until eventually we get down to a definitive top 10 Stargate of all time. So let's start this out. The first one we're going to do, our number 10, is going to be the episode Touchstone. And Touchstone was an episode that had Mayborn. And any episode with Mayborn is really fun. The character dynamic between Jack and Mayborn is really, really good. And here, a device designed to control the weather. And so while this was something that happened off-world, it was brought back to Earth. So the adventure is here on Earth, which is kind of an interesting thing. It probably helped them with the budget, although they had to show the weather going crazy and all that, but on the alien planet. But set-wise, it probably helped with the budget. But really, this is one that I think makes the list just for the interactions with Mayborn, kind of helping to establish the concept of stuff laying the groundwork for like the NID and these different things where we're going to see one's, despite it being controlled by the U.S. Air Force, one's using Stargate from Earth for wrong purposes. And this is kind of one of the good starts to that. So my number 9 is episode 18, Serpent Song. And here we see Apophis seeking asylum on Earth. He has been whipped by Sokar, which is going to be our next big bad Goa'uld. And while I do feel that one season, within the second season, already wrapping up Apophis, did seem to go kind of fast. I really think that the level power that they gave him initially, they could have drawn that out for at least 3 to 4 seasons, but by season 2, he's already beaten. And part of the reason for that is that Stargate was constantly under the idea that this was their last season, which is funny as we get to season 10, or season 5 of Atlantis is when they finally thought that it wasn't their last season. When they were confident, then the shows got canceled. But Serpent Song, really interesting seeing him being beaten and going to Earth because he understands how their morals are their weakness, and then seeing them like, this is our mortal enemy. He's trying to wipe out our planet, enslave us. What do we owe him? And in the end, he dies. And they send him through the thing because Sokar is going to destroy Earth just because of him. And they don't understand the fact that Sokar can bring Apophis back to life and torture him and kill him over and over again. So they think that by holding on to him till he died, that they did Apophis some sort of moral justice. So it was a really good episode there. Number 8 is episode 20, Show and Tell. This is with the invisible Ritu. And they had cloned a young boy, and they were under attack from the Goa'uld, and they figured that the solution was to wipe out all humans, and thus taking away the Gould's power. And so she had rapid cloned a little boy to be a spokesperson. Of course, he was decaying and dying. And once again, they showed Jack's relationship with kids. That is one thing that I love about this, is there's one thing that gets under Jack O'Neill's skin. It's kids. And seeing as in the movie, it starts out like the whole reason why he goes on this suicide mission is because his son shot himself with Jack's gun. And, kids, the life of a kid is so precious to Jack. So anytime the show has a moment to show that, it really stands out. The ritu were very interesting. One of the things that I would have liked to have seen, we constantly, in some of these early episodes, we get introduced to one-off species that maybe it's impractical to get a hold of. Maybe it's, there's all different reasons why we don't come back to them. But I would have loved, and maybe if they'd had more time with the Ori, they would have, but I would have loved to have seen some of these powerful species that had a reason why they weren't involved with the Gould. Or maybe with the replicators. It would have been an opportunity to have some of these species come back into play with different enemies. As the Stargate Command continually poked one hornet nest after another and created worse enemy after worse enemy. Maybe some of these things, like I previously had said about the Nox, the ritu here could have been maybe somebody they could have allied with. Number 7 for me is going to be episode 16, A Matter of Time. Another good Jack episode. This is where really kind of horrific idea. They open up to a world that's being swallowed by a black hole. And they see an image of the team rushing back to the gate. But they're moving slow because time is dilated. And they know what's happening to them, but so they're seeing it kind of freeze frame, die in slow motion. This upsets Jack, but the whole Earth, the wormhole is not collapsing, and the whole Earth could swallow up into the Stargate. And on top of that, their time in Cyan Mountain is slowed. It's slowing between the different levels of the SGC. So they play around with that. Someone sent in to take care of things. And he is somebody who previously knew Jack. And because they had a difference, had a beef with Jack, or Jack had a beef with him. And in the end, they work that out. They go there to deliver the bomb in the gate. But there's a lot of emotional drama attached alongside the dramaticness of the episode. So I really like that one. My number 6 is episode 21, 1969. The team go back in time with a note from General Hammond to give to his younger self to help them so that they could get back to time. This is an early definition of how time travel works in the Stargate universe. It will not be the only form of time travel, but this is the main one that our crew can do. This is Spock slingshotting them around the sun. It's like push comes to end. This is something a writer can use, even if that breaks the world. But they make it a little bit better than that, because it's if a wormhole travels through a solar flare, and you have to calculate it right to get one that will send you just right in time. And we'll get to that later when we talk about Continuum. But this sets that up. It is so much fun seeing Teal'c deal with the hippies while they're on the road and doing that. It very much was like the was that the Voyage Home, Star Trek 2, 3, Star Trek 4. It's very much like Star Trek 4 in a way of Teal'c like Spock, fish out of water, trying to go around in the society, whereas the rest of the crew understand what's expected of them time, even if that isn't from when they were. They understand how to act, but not Teal'c. Okay, my number 5 is episode 1, The Serpent's Lair. We talked about last time how great a season finale they had. They were coming to Earth, they were going to destroy it. SG1's on the ship, Braytak's there helping them. They got a plan. They move Apophis and his son against each other, go through all that, save the Earth. Amazing. Amazing payoff to the cliffhanger that was before. It wasn't, well, a lot of times, in the end when they have these like high stakes cliffhanger, really action packed, and then you get to the second episode and it's, Carter or McKay figures out how to press the button, and they press the button and the bad guy's gone. And it's like, oh, I waited a whole year for the rest of the action that I was expecting, and then it feels anticlimactic. Not this time. This time definitely felt like it went through. So that was definitely a good one. Number 4 is going to be episode 11, The Tok'ra Part 1. Now, this is one that in retrospect I like better. At first, I did not much care for the Tok'ra when this episode first came, but this episode did a lot for setting up who the Tok'ra were, these good Goa'uld. That the concept of that was really good, that the Goa'uld as a species aren't inherently evil. And we've already kind of started to establish that the Jaffa are not inherently evil, and now the Goa'uld themselves are not inherently evil. And so I thought that was really good, but at the same time, they still have an air of arrogance, and it doesn't seem like things are going to work. But that gets us to our number 3, which is episode 12, The Tok'ra Part 2. And this is when we get Sam's dad. And he comes in and he is dying of cancer. And the one thing the Tok'ra need is more hosts. Because eventually their hosts get too old, they die. And there's not a whole lot of people who are willing to take up the life of the host. But they can cure cancer. And so the bringing in Sam's dad as a Tok'ra really improved the Tok'ra. Because the Tok'ra are often presented as a group of people that are not likable. They are arrogant, they are quick to offense, ready to break off relations at all time, yet they become one of Earth's greatest allies. And one of those is through Sam's father Joseph, is a big part of that. And it's funny when he's getting ready to blend and he's talking to what will be his eventually his symbiote through its previous hosts. And they're just, they're making, well, I'd like to know. And he says, don't you think I would like to know who it is? He says, oh, okay, well, I kind of figured you were dying, you didn't have a choice. And she's like, just kind of the laughing. And she says, well, you're not such a beauty yourself, or something like that, because he mentioned she didn't look so good. The humor there was great. Once again, the Tok'ra, their crystal caves, the different things that they introduce in here. Interesting stuff that will play out later. Okay, number 2. We are going to go with episode 6, Thor's Chariot. I almost talked about this last one when I was talking about Thor's hammer, because I just love this episode. So this episode, they come in, this Viking world, they've come back, and they're worried they've damaged the hammer, and the Goa'uld are going to come, and so they've got to go back and find this hall of weapons, and they go through these tests, and a hologram, and a Viking appears, and he's Thor, and does all that, and then when they pass the tests, you see what looks like the little Roswell alien, and he's Thor, and he's transmitting, and then all of a sudden, no, it's a live feed. It's not pre-recorded anymore because they passed the test. And then Thor's chariot comes in, and his ship kind of has a little bit of a hammer dish to the front of it. Kind of look, and it comes out of the sky with lightning and all that. And, just takes care of the Goa'uld, fixes the hammer, does all that, and really gets us introduced to who the Asgard House. So now we've met them. We've met one of the 5 great races again. We'd seen the Nox, and so now we've actually met them. But they're going to leave us off there. So what is my number 1? Well, my number 1, and this will, like Torment of Tantalus, I know this is going, no matter what, to make my end top 10 Stargate of all time, because this is episode 15, The Fifth Race. They go to a planet. They're going to be attacked. They have this thing that contains all the knowledge, and Jack sticks his head next to it, and it sucks it in, takes it all down, and then they go, oh well. And then he starts saying words that don't make any sense. Yeah, my friend. And then, Daniel realizes he's speaking like ancient Latin. He's downloaded the database of the ancients, all their knowledge, but it's actually killing him. His brain is not advanced enough to contain this much information, and so it's going to kill him. But he just starts building stuff, and he's talking, and Daniel's trying to interpret it. And when everything's done, though, he builds a machine that allows the Stargate to take him to the Asgard. And to me, what may be one of the greatest moments in Stargate ever is when he gets through and all the Asgardians are walking out, the little frail bodies, and they're looking at him and they're blinking, and he gets up and they shakes him out, and they said that, there was once, the 5 great races. And he says, talking about them, and, Jack's, oh, well, we met the Nox. Yeah, I haven't met them. And then he says, those are some pretty heavy hitters. He says, and, you have much potential. And you are well along your steps to becoming the 5th race. It just, that invitation, that like first contact type feeling, really wells up in you. And then Jack tells him, in all respect, he's like, look, we may not be ready to be on this level, but we're out there. We're a curious species, and we're out there now. And, we could really use some help. And it just had that, the bond that Jack creates that bond. Because Jack, he's either portrayed as a military man, he's portrayed sometimes as, he diffuses things with humor sometimes, but he's also portrayed in the show as someone who is smart, but never wants people to know how smart he is. And the fact that this alien race, like, they are so impressed with him. This race that is smarter than their smartest people. They make Carter look dumb by how smart they are. But Jack leaves this imprint on them right off the beginning. And, says, you have much potential. It's so beautiful. It is the heart of what the Stargate is, of the concept of going through a portal to these alien worlds, meeting alien species, first contact. It's probably my favorite part of Stargate. The action and all that is fun, but stuff like this really hits. Okay, now my secret number 11. This one I went back and forth with my number 10, but this is episode 4, The Gamekeeper. This one shows that they've come up to a place where ones are, there's these empty pods, they get on them, and they're in a virtual reality, a la the Matrix. And the gamekeeper doesn't want to let them out. And this is a trope that has been done over and over again over the years, and different sci-fi and things, which is kind of why I didn't leave it. And it's, but it does get revisited a little bit later again. And it just was a fun episode concept as they're going through past events in their lives, reliving it, with the idea maybe you could change it. And so it definitely is worthy of getting mentioned, but Touchstone, Mayborn's part in Touchstone just barely edged this one out. All right, that's my top 10 for Stargate Season 2. What are your top 10? Are there any episodes that you truly love that I left off my list? Let me know in the comments down below. And continue to share this video and mention to Amazon that we want more Brad Wright Stargate. I'll catch you in the next video.